All right. I'll wait till Doug gets
Let's
there.
go. That'd be
I'm not gonna gavel you right now. Okay. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Westminster Mayor and Common Council. This meeting here in historic City Hall is held on the second and fourth Monday of every month. Please note that council meetings are open to the public here at City Hall and are also available and streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. As a courtesy to everyone, please take a moment to silence your cell phones or any other electronic device that may interrupt the meeting. Thank you. I want to note that Council President Pecoraro is under the weather, but is kind enough to be joining us remotely this evening. So he is here and will be participating, but as President Pro Tem, I'll run the meeting in his stead. So now, if everyone would please stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, copies of tonight's agenda that will be following, as well as the entire information packet, are available online at the city's website. I believe there are also copies of the agenda right here in the front corner of the room. I'll start out this evening by a closed session statement. Statement for the record. We had a closed meeting on Monday, January 6, 2025, in accordance with the general provisions of Article Section 3-306C, subsection 2 of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and without objection, it is noted that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect that the Common Council met in a closed meeting via Zoom on Monday, January 6, 2025 at 3:34 p.m. pursuant to the general provision of Article Section 3-305B, subsection 7, to consult with counsel and to obtain legal advice. We will start out with our presentations. So I think first up, we'll go ahead and have our magic quarterly update.
New screen show. I figured you guys wanted something updated. Good evening. I'm Kim Samuelson with Magic. We're going to go our October through December quarterly update for everyone. Right. Got it. Okay. So just a summary of what we do. We work in the community for entrepreneurial support, technology education facilitators, community connectors, and fiber project cheerleaders. So part of our mission here is to support entrepreneurs in the community. And we do that with several different projects and programs that we use. 1 Million Cups, which is a Wednesday morning, bring your business to Main Street. We meet every Wednesday on Main Street at 38 West Main. We talk about entrepreneurs in the area. We talk about opportunities for entrepreneurs and startups. We also have a cohort called Startup Lab, which we do hosting of entrepreneurs to connect them with individuals, funding, business support, that kind of stuff. Westminster Angel Network, we connect these new businesses with technology-centric products and services and capital venture to get that funding in for them to actually be able to move to the next step. Our impact in this area is, and this is specifically for the last quarter, not for the whole year. We have connected with 24 actual entrepreneur connections this quarter. We've actually helped successfully launch 4 applications or 4 technology apps with these entrepreneurs. And we've been able to get angel investors to invest in these different applications of $100,000+. Now, these are startups that work in the community. So that money is staying here in Westminster and it's being invested in Westminster.
Can I interrupt you for
sure.
a second? Go back to that last slide. So Tim Chase, that statement,
yes.
I will compliment you because I know Tim well, and he is an incredibly successful founder of one of the largest private
Yes,
wealth management firms in the state,
He
in the
is.
region, yet he makes that comment about you guys helping him out.
Yes.
That's pretty.
well,
impressive.
he came up with an idea. It's called Scan My Golf Ball app, and it's actually, he's a very big golfer.
Yep.
So he actually came to us with that idea, and between myself and Graham, we got him situated to where he has investors that he can actually talk to, application developers, to bring together his idea or his mission.
Well, somebody of his caliber to say that about you guys is impressive.
It is, and he's a really great supporter and cheerleader of ours, so we're happy to have him in our family.
Great.
Technology education is another area which we are working on heavily. We pretty much focus on these three areas: cybersecurity, robotics and AI, and business and entrepreneurship. So our cybersecurity includes our bi-yearly capture the flag competition. We have students from all over Maryland come into our location here in Westminster to compete. We also deal with other places around the country. We have Cyber Wyoming, we have North Carolina, we probably have been or at least touched half of the states around where we have activities going on. Robotics and AI, which is our big thing, which you guys know about. We have a center called ARIC. It's the Autonomous Robotics Innovation Center. And there we teach a wide range of introduction concepts for engineering, autonomy, AI integration, and research. And we specifically look at K through 12 because those are the kids that are going to go on to college. Those are the kids that are going to come back to the community and work here. Our big push is for middle school because that's when the spark starts. So that's what we really have been focusing on here. And business and entrepreneurship, getting those young minds to think outside the box, to come up with those ideas. These kids are smart. They want to have these ideas. We help them flesh it out. Some of the students that have been through our entrepreneur programs have gone on to McDaniel's Innovation Challenge. They've gone on to the Carol Bish Challenge, and they've actually won several of them. So our impact here is for this quarter, we've probably served around 100 students, give or take, 30 mentors involved, which means professionals in our area have come and helped with these things. And that includes the business, the cybersecurity. Sponsorship dollars for this quarter, a little more than $5,000. Educational grants for this quarter has been around $35,000. Community connector, I think this is very important, which we're really working hard on, is those networking and technology partnerships. So our events like CyberSec, Robotic Expos, Good Game on Main, which is very popular with our student base. Our open houses and tours, our seminars and workshops. Technology partnerships, we have connections with FITSE, Hartford County Economic Development, Carroll County Workforce Development. So we're building those building blocks of partnership with them. FITSE and Hartford are new. That was part of the EDA grant that we received last year to work with other rural counties. So we're getting a lot of opportunities with them. And educational partnerships, obviously, continue building out our Carroll County Public Schools, McDaniel, and Carroll Community College to build those pipelines for students. Just a couple of pictures of the things that we do. There's our kids for Good Game on Main in our robotics center. A couple of our events that was. We had a really good time at the TEDCO Expo that they put down in Baltimore County. We were there, boots on the ground, talking to these people. And a lot of them were from Carroll County. By the numbers, so funding so far year to date, that's the number for FY. So that's the first 2 quarters of our fiscal timeframe is 161. I broke it down for you, maybe to give you a little better indication, because typically we just give you a gross number. So our quarterly total this quarter was 87.9. Most of that was grants, 74. Event sponsors, donations, and program revenue. And I wanted to bring those 2 last things up because they are starting to rise as we get more notice in the community. As we get those connections going, people are coming and they're starting to support us. I think that's very important. Volunteers and mentors. Just this quarter, we've had over 56 mentors, give or take. Volunteers year to date so far it's about 150. Some of those are crossovers, obviously. We have mentors that do a lot of our different events or volunteer for us. Measuring success. These are some of the things we're proud of that we've accomplished. Our elementary, middle school intro to robotics classes are full for both the spring and the fall session. We've actually had to open another class for the middle schoolers because we ran out of funds. So we'll actually be hosting 2 this year. We received grant funding for our new HVAC. Yay.
Yay.
So that means that we are heavily building out our summer programs. We've increased our entrepreneur engagements, and I think that's important. Getting those businesses to work and stay here in Carroll County and Westminster specifically. We are now hosting homeschool co-ops and their robotics teams. We are also working heavily with Boy Scouts and Girl Scout troops. Funny enough, they have robotics badges that they can go after. So, and then just recently, Magic and Startup Lab were highlighted in the Maryland Department of Commerce annual report. So just a year in review. If you're looking at the dressed up people, that was our gala that we had. So it was a fun time. We had a magician come in. Obviously, it was a night of magic. So we had some people come to ARIC and hang out, and we had a great time. And then our robotics classes and our capture the flag competitions. So looking forward, this is what we're working on for the next quarter. 1 million cups, step challenge, which is our entrepreneur for high school and college age kids. Our capture the flag 18 is coming up. We're starting to work on our EDA survey and stakeholder interviews. So we'll be getting information out to the community about that soon. Senior online safety seminars. We've been tasked to bring that back out of mothballs and go to town with that. So we'll be doing that this semester and continuing to build our college team. We also are hosting 2 colleges in Catawba for a CTF event specifically for them. And then at our robotics center, obviously we're planning 2 open houses, one at the end of this month and one at the end of February. Our elementary, middle school, makerspace. So we got a lot of stuff going on. That's it. So questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Mr. President.
Sure.
Just want to say thank you for the presentation. I know that over the years, I think I've mentioned this most times when we get a presentation from Magic, but it's just been really fantastic to see how successful and involved your organization has become.
Right.
In the downtown community.
Yeah, and I think that's been our biggest connect this year is getting those connections going, and they've been paying off for us. So
Perfect.
that's what we're working on for the next quarter. So
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. So for quite some time now, we've had an individual from McDaniel College come to our meetings, and we continue to foster that great relationship that we have with the college. This evening, we've got Heidi Regal. She is the AVP of Constituent Engagement at the college. She's been here a number of times. So if you have some things you'd like to talk to us about, now is your time.
Thank you for having me tonight. So I have 3 things I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention. The college is not fully staffed with students right now, or we don't have a lot of students on campus because it's January term, but all of our first year students are on campus for a My Design course. So it is a required course where they spend time with our success coaches and faculty and staff, and they work on mapping out the rest of their college experience after having 1 semester underneath their belt. So they're planning, internship opportunities as well as study abroad experiences and thinking about researching. The second point is at the end of January is when the rest of the students come back and we're fully staffed with our faculty are back for our spring semester. So that'll kick off at the end of January. And I don't know if any of you know, but our library is closed right now because we're undergoing some major renovations, and it will reopen actually next Wednesday. It's completely done, but it's closed right now for some meetings. Thank you.
Probably 4 or 5 friends back at Frostburg, they could have used that My Design class and actually graduated.
Yes.
Luckily, I have an ROTC commander that made me follow the rules. Anyway, okay, so next up is going to be a public hearing. So, Madam Mayor, do you want to go ahead and read the information related to the public hearing? Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, oh, no, I got that, yeah,
All right.
right,
It's your
so,
show.
thank you. I'm gonna call this public hearing to order at 7:15 p.m. Tonight, the public hearing is on ordinance number 2024-09, tobacconist and vape shop text amendment, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of Westminster, amending chapter 164, zoning and subdivision of the land of the city code to amend Article 1, general provisions, to add definitions of specialty shop, tobacconist, and vape shop, to amend Article 7A, mixed-use infill zone, Article 8B, business zone, Article 8B, BD, downtown business zone, Article 9, CB, central business zone, and Article 12, PI, planned industrial zone, to add tobacconists and vape shops as permitted uses, to amend Article 11A and C, neighborhood commercial zone, to add vape shops as a permitted use, to amend Article 20, special provisions to impose certain restrictions on the location of vape shops, and to renumber without substantive changes the list of permitted uses in certain of these zones. I have a list of individuals who have signed up to speak for this. And so I'm just going to go through the list. If you would like to speak, you may, and then at the end of the list, if there's anyone else who'd like to speak, we'll go ahead and take those comments. So Mr. Polak? Podolak, I'm sorry.
I really have a few questions. I've read the proposed text amendments. And for the record, I am a civil engineer practicing in the city of Westminster. I have a business. I am also a property owner in the downtown business zone. So I have a client who is affected directly by this ordinance. He has a contract to lease space to a vape shop. They sell tobacco and vape products. And also these changes to the ordinance directly affect me and my property because I am right next to the playground. So as a result of the proposed regulation changes, I would be limited, I would be excluded from leasing any portion of my property to a vape or tobacconist. Not that I have any intention to, but certainly flexibility. I don't like to be downzoned, but I really have more questions. And my first question is, what is the legislative purpose here? How do you picture this ordinance affecting these specific business people? I know for a fact that there's at least 4 vape shops within the downtown business area and adjacent in the B business district. And I'm curious why they would no longer be considered a specialty shop, because certainly looks like a specialty shop to me. They sell tobacco and tobacco products, vaping products. And it's like this. It seems vaping is probably better than smoking. And so I'm curious why the objective is to kind of limit the number of these facilities in the city. And I don't know if anyone can answer these questions.
So, Dan, I'll sort of give you a chance to speak as well, because I know you probably do, but you hit the nail on the head. We want to limit the number of them. We probably get more complaints from our constituents about the number of vape shops in town than anything else related to zoning, probably 5-fold We hear about that from people on a regular, consistent basis, that they don't want them, they don't want any more of them. There's too many, can't we do something about getting rid of the ones that we have? So you're exactly right, that's the intention, is to limit them.
Well, I'm curious, what are the specific complaints? I mean, are children occupying these, buying these products? I mean,
You'd have to ask them.
Because, I guess, it's like, for example, I assume a liquor store would be a principal permitted use in the specialty shop. You're down in the business zone. And I would think you would probably have more issues with a liquor store than a vape shop. But, that was my first question. As I said, I have a project in which we are preparing, well, we've submitted a site development plan for a vape shop. And, the way this ordinance is written, there are circumstances that would immediately make some of these facilities non-conforming. And anyone who's run a non-conforming business knows that basically that's writing on the wall that the government wants you out. Basically, your business is living on borrowed time. When you're non-conforming, for example, if you were to expand,
So we understand what non-conforming are, what the objections are.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Right.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's pretty clear that you are waging a war on vape and tobacco. Now, with respect to having a site plan submitted already, is there a grandfather? Can we provide some grandfather clause that would allow the project that I've just spent, several months preparing, submitting in the process? It's disheartening as an engineer to work toward a goal and have not only the rug pulled out from underneath you, but somebody pull the plug, basically kill the project. So certainly I would recommend at least some type of grandfather provision for projects that are in the pipeline. I'm not talking about something I'm going to submit. This is something that has already been submitted. And then, it's like this, the separation distances that you listed as code. Two of the vape shops would overlap each other at 1,000 feet, so they're immediately non-conforming. But the other provisions for daycare, I mean, someone could open up a daycare 3 blocks down or 3 houses down from you, and then you would be non-conforming at that point. So, like I said, I think you're making it difficult for a specific business. Now, what I will tell you about businesses, especially in the retail market, is the retail market is being overrun by the internet. So your traditional retail stores, your specialty shops, your toy stores, your mom and pop, wine stores, spirits, whatever. I mean, they're very difficult to run because of the competition available on the internet. The fact that you have vape shops with tobacco is something that afford in the city. I mean, they apparently are thriving. I guess so are phone stores, right? So, it's like this. It's tough enough to run a business for those of us that are self-employed. And when your local government starts putting additional pressure on you, it's more than difficult. I mean, it's excruciating. And so I would recommend that the council consider the business people, consider the business community, and consider the fact that these are people who have invested in the community, that are operating a business, they are employing individuals, they're matching their SUDA and SUDA, you know what I mean? They're paying taxes, and they're contributing to the city and the overall community. And perhaps we could maybe lighten up on some of the regulations, and not make them extinct species.
So Madam Mayor, I just respectfully, I want to be able to hear everybody. So, you know, I think you've had your time. So I'd like to hear from some of the states as well. So Madam Mayor, I would ask that we kind of like limit the comment.
And we'll have a
reasonable
staff
timeframe.
report as
Yeah.
well on this item too. Right, so next, Dennis, your last name, sir.
Yeah, I would like to say something on behalf
Your last name,
of Futrell, Futre.
thank you.
When I speak now, on the web.
Yeah, no, you're fine. No, you,
Talking on behalf of Elliot Swan. I came out of the military in around 2001. I'm disabled, and when I came out, I needed a job. So I talked to a friend, he said, well, why don't we go talk to Elias? I talked to Elias, I put my application in. He gave me the interview and he said, you have a job. So meeting him and getting to know him has been great for one. And when you're just getting out of the military, you don't have a lot of money. So when I needed help, I knew I could go to him. And he's helped me many times. And that's what I appreciate. But also, if he gets violated for the vape shop, that guy loses his job, he gets hurt at the same time. We literally don't need to lose no more businesses at all. And then that's just how I feel.
thank you.
Nope.
Would you like to speak,
Yes.
sir? Elias, your last
Sure,
name?
hi.
Yeah,
My name is Elias Shawn, good evening. I'm in that building 279 for 26 years, peaceably. And I'm in this building for last 3 times within 1 month. I never knew that city hall before. 26 years, I'm doing business, I used to live over here too. It was a couple of years ago, I bought the building. I did make a mistake, a lot of things I didn't pay attention. And the gentleman sent me an email, I'll read it, I didn't even pay attention. But then second time I got it, I apologized a couple times and I said, then gentleman came to building too. And I put good money in the building too, to look good. And gentleman put the good word there too, if you would have knew the system, you could have go through the city would have paid you something to building look good. So there was, there used to be a marble child business, he went out of business. He was in B and C. So then what happened is B was, my understanding was that he got the trade business and let's give him the lease, I'll give him a 5-year lease. And then I realized that, then I got the second email, a year later, I realized that I made a mistake. And meantime, I have a shipment copy for the C, which is we start the process and then we realize that we cannot open it. That gentleman wait for a couple months and move on with the shipping copy. No, is that is, if is the tenant, I have a tax, insurance and mortgage. I do not want. My personal request, Westminster should put love on me and should smile today. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Herb?
Good evening, everyone. Matthew Herb, Schaefer Miller Herb. I represent Elias Chohan, who you just heard from. Here tonight to speak on his behalf regarding the text amendment presented. And I think overall it's a good thing that we're defining these uses and addressing this so we don't find ourselves in a situation again and business owners can have a little bit more guidance on this issue. But we are also requesting the grandfathering language that's at subsection C of the proposed text amendment, 160, more specifically 164-155.7 C. It allows for folks who have submitted a site plan as of November 25th, 2024 to be, in essence, quote unquote, grandfathered in the process. As you heard from Mr. Chohan, he's been a business owner here on Main Street for 26 years. He was renting for many, many years. About 2 years ago, he went ahead and acquired the building from the previous owner. And like you mentioned, got an email from Mr. Depot, kind of went over his head, didn't act on it. And besides which, the tenant that he was looking at bringing in at that point in time kind of fizzled out. A year later, new tenant gets a violation letter from Mr. Depot. And then that's when he sprung into action, retained Mr. Podolak to put together a site plan, retained our office to navigate this process. And I'll just say, he's new to being a commercial landlord, and there's a lot of things to learn, and he's learning the hard way by having to go through this whole process, hiring engineers, hiring attorneys, and everything like that. And it's complicated. The tenant here today, the tenant was able to obtain a trader's license through the state of Maryland and sales tax and a document from the state of Maryland. So there's many levels to all this. There's the state, there's the county, there's the city. And sometimes it's confusing, all the things that you need to do. And that's why you need to go talk to a lawyer before you go down this path, but that's oftentimes not what people do. I think it's very important that Mr. Chohan has made a lot of improvements to the property. He's put in well over $100,000 of exterior improvements to the stucco and the roof and the gutters and the windows. And he has proven that he is a gentleman who's employed many people throughout the community, operating pizza bullies, and it's generally been since he's ever been in City Hall before. So I think he's operating that business very well. Has been a credit to Main Street, and I have full confidence that if he's allowed to grant his site plan process is allowed to be grandfathered in, that'll continue to be a good citizen on Main Street, and he's learning to be a better commercial landlord. Again, he could have done some things differently. He didn't. We're asking for assistance and moving forward because we don't think he would be quote unquote a vested use at this point in time until the site plan and use is approved by the city of Westminster. So if that grandfathering provision is not approved, it essentially it sinks his business. It sinks a gentleman who has been a good citizen here in Westminster, and we all make mistakes and things happen. I think what matters is what is he doing to try to repair the situation. Again, we understand there's zoning enforcement and some other things going on in the background of this involving this property, but that's not really why we're here today. We're here about the text amendment. I'll also just point out that it seems like if that grandfathering provision is not accepted, it creates a little bit of an environment where there could be some litigation or confusion about who was first in the community, because there's some other shops that are maybe not necessarily legal under the current framework. So running into a little bit of a race to the courthouse or a race to the city hall to determine who's first. And I think the proposed language that we've proposed to add to the text maybe avoids a little bit of that, allows folks who are already in the site plan process their way through. And if you look at the proposal submitted by Mr. Podolak's office, none of the comments come back we received comments back December 5th from the city, and none of them are that onerous. There are a lot of stylistic type things, landscaping type things. There's nothing that's presented that's a major health and safety concern. So I think it's a process that we're very close to seeing through if we're permitted to do so. And thank you for the time hearing me speak. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Stop. Oh, no, okay. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard?
Yes.
Name and address, please.
Noman Ashgar, Noman Ashgar. And
Okay, and address, please.
Westminster address or my home address? Cause I own the business owner for Smoke and Vape, located on 279 East Main Street.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, yeah, Suite B. So I started this business
in May of 2024, and I mean, I'm young, I just thought I just need to start an LLC from Maryland State, get the trader's license, get the tobacconist license and OTP licenses, which I got from the courthouse. I made the mistake of not knowing that there was city regulations that I had to follow as well, but once I got the email from Mr. Depot in October, started following whatever he requested, and I'm continuing to do so at the same time. We, like many other vape shops, we had a lot of lights, showing outside. I was told by Mr. Depot to take them off, took them off the very day. Same thing with the site plan and everything, and even as we were talking about the harmfulness, we've had, I think, 8 health inspections, 0 infractions. We were just send a minor to the store to see if, I'm pretty sure we're like, other stores have had more than that. And as far as nicotine and all those addictive, we might be the only store that has the biggest inventory of 0 nicotine, trying to lean people off of all those addictive chemicals and whatnot. So I definitely made mistakes when starting off, but we're trying to, fix those mistakes and still trying to work with the city, see it through. So I've invested a lot of money into it, and I'd like to. It's my first business. I don't want to go bankrupt on my first business. That would not be a good American dream, I guess. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Anyone else like to be heard?
Good question. No,
Yeah.
is that what you pronounce it? How many employees do you employ? So
Right now, no one, because I don't have a sign on the front of my building.
If no one else wants to be heard, we'll call the public,
Madam Mayor,
yes, ma'am.
can the staff give a report?
Yes, sorry, Mr. Depot.
Thank you. On November 25th, 2024, the Mayor and Common Council introduced ordinance 2409. The Mayor and Common Council notice a public hearing for the ordinance was advertised on December 4th and 11th, 2024 in the Carroll County Times. As discussed at the time the ordinance was introduced, the zoning administrator issued notices of violation on September 27th, 2024 to the property owners of 279 East Main Street and 2 Washington Road for operating a retail sales establishment and installing signs without obtaining necessary city approvals. Subsequently, the property owners reached out to Community Planning Development to discuss whether a vape shop use may be allowed at their property, possibly as a specialty shop, which had only recently been added as an allowed use in the downtown zones. However, no zoning determination was requested or provided making the distinction between a specialty shop and a vape shop. The proposed text amendment before you tonight provides for such distinction between a specialty shop, tobacconist, and vape shop, and where these uses may be allowed. And I think this is important to note that it was mentioned alcohol beverage package store is a specific use. It would not be a specialty shop. The ordinance has specific use types, and 2 uses cannot be the same thing. So that was a very good reason as to why we felt we needed to start defining these uses so they're not overlapping. On December 19th, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on ordinance 2409. The property owner, 279 East Main Street, requested that the commission consider allowing a grandfathering clause to allow for the illegally operating vape shop to be allowed, as there's an existing use that would be considered a vape shop with the adoption of the ordinance, and the proposed special provisions distance requirement for vape shops will not allow a vape shop to operate at 279 East Main. It was also stated that one of the vape shops, we recognize 3 businesses that would be a vape shop if this ordinance gets approved by definition. And those 3 businesses meet the distance requirements. They would not be affected, nor would they be non-conforming. There's a map attached that demonstrates that. The majority of the commission did not oppose the grandfathering clause and have suggested the following language be added to the proposed vape shop special provisions, section 164-155-7. Businesses that have submitted a site plan prior to November 25th, 2024
shall not be subject to the distance requirements contained in this section, so long as the property and business otherwise complies with all requirements of the city code. And this amended text is in attachment 3. Attachment 1 is the introduced ordinance. Attachment 3 is the amended ordinance addressing planning commission's comments. And I also wanted to point out there was a mention of downzoning. Again, these uses aren't allowed today in these districts. This ordinance therefore is allowing new uses in downtown that aren't otherwise allowed. And also it was mentioned the tobacconist would not be subject to the distance requirements the vape shop would be subject to. I think there was maybe a confusion with that as well. With that, the zoning administrator opposes the amendment to the ordinance 2409 proposed by the planning commission. The property owner is seeking through the proposed amendment the special privilege that other property owners would not be afforded and to be rewarded for opening and continuing to operate an illegal retail sales establishment. On August 25th, 2023, well before the illegal use began operating, the zoning administrator emailed the 279 East Main Street property owner that a site plan is required for any new, expanded, or remodeled use within all zones, and no zoning certificate or building permit shall be issued, therefore, except in accordance with an approved site plan. The property owner actually confirmed the receipt of the email the same day. And I did meet with the property owner several times too. There was an ER auto shop that went in there as well. And at that time, I also verbally addressed the property owner explaining that any future use of the property would not have to go through this site plan process. So with that, staff recommends that the mayor and common council approve ordinance number 2409 as introduced on November 11th, 2024, and provided in attachment 1 of this report. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
What was the date that you sent that email that was acknowledged?
August 25th, 2023.
Just a couple questions.
That he's asking us for questions.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna let Dan go because he started, then Greg, we'll go to you next.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Is that a question?
We're going to Greg. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you. Just had a question. I know a number of convenience stores also sell vaping products. Do they come under the jurisdiction of this ordinance, or are they a different case?
If you had a principal use of a convenience store that sells multiple different products, groceries and those type of things, they may be able to sell as a product tobacco or other type of uses, but in and of itself would not be a vape shop. So you'd have it would be accessory function of the principal use of a convenience store.
Did you get all that, Speckler?
Yes, so I guess the answer is no, it won't apply to convenience stores in general.
Roger.
Mr. Debo, I just want to clarify, because I was there at the planning and zoning meeting as the ex officio member. In my understanding from that evening was the property owner had said that he had not received your email or read it in a timely manner that evening. Is that not what was said that evening?
That is what was stated at the meeting. So as I recall.
I will say, I think that had an impact on how the planning and zoning commission was looking at it, because there's a copy of your email in our packet that clearly shows that the property owner responded the same day, acknowledging receipt of your email, which clearly stated that, because there wasn't any kind of site plan on record, that any new uses coming in would be required to have a site plan and approval to open. Am I not correct reading your email? You're telling him that, and this is on August 25th, 2023. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And when did this vape shop supposedly open up? Can you clarify that for me?
The applicant just said May 2024, or the business owner just mentioned he opened up at
So
May.
you're talking about 10 months later.
Any other questions from the council for Mr. Hill?
I have a question for the business owner, Madam Mayor. But are you related to the property owner?
No,
Thank you.
All council good? Councilmember Gilbert. Councilmember Dayhoff.
Okay. Madam Mayor,
Uh,
if it's appropriate,
maybe a couple minutes.
you'll give me a couple of minutes. Or should wait a couple of minutes.
No.
Clark
Set
Schaefer,
my
I'm
timer.
here representing the property owner. A couple, it's interesting, I don't know if it's the right word, but we've got X number of vape shops in Westminster, but they're illegal. Because they're not allowed, that's why this ordinance got put in. Now, how did they get there? Well, it was confusing, obviously. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that he got an email saying, you need to file, here's the site plan language, which he quotes in his email, which says you need a site plan to do anything, basically in the city of Westminster. Change the use, remodel, uses the word remodel. He doesn't either, he gets it, he sees it. Does he understand the import of it, a site plan? Maybe, maybe not. A year later, 10 months later, he has one tenant that kicks out early, and then later the vape shop comes in. He makes a mistake. He allows it to open. He gets a notice of violation. He immediately tries to start complying. He immediately meets with Mr. Depot. He immediately takes down the signage, the lighting, and hires a lawyer and an engineer to draw a site plan up, which gets submitted and has been submitted for what, several months now? A couple months now. He's gotten a comment letter back from the city on it. There is a zoning enforcement mechanism that is separate from a legislative process, which is what you're in now. And we're willing to let that zoning enforcement, if he deserves spanking, municipal spanking through the zoning enforcement process, he's already told him he's fining him $400 a day. Now, that's been a lot of days since May 24th. And he's also told him, you got to shut down. We hadn't shut down, but he has tried to comply. And I think, Mr. Depot's been working with him, so to speak, reviewing his site plan, sending comments back to him. You sit here today with the power to shut this business down. That's the bottom line. He's not vested under Maryland law. If you pass this ordinance, this business is out of business. This will not happen again. Now, the race to the courthouse that Mr. Hurth described, what that is there's 1,000 foot from another vape shop in there. Our analysis is that that's the only thing that DQs us from trying to go through a site plan process and getting a permit and operating a legal business. Because the one on Washington Road is less than 1,000 feet to Washington Road, across from the convenience store. Now, that also is a subject of a notice of violation from Mr. Depot, according to his staff report. I don't know, it's in your staff report.
That was a different business that is now no longer there.
2 Washington Road, vape shop?
It was the old chick site right at the corner of Washington.
How did,
I'm sorry.
There's one that opened up right next to the existing one.
Bill Seafood.
yeah,
The purple building.
yeah, that's 2 in that 2 Washington Road?
Yeah, but there's one also right beside.
One right next to it.
Been there for,
Oh, there's 2 vape shops right next to each other?
It's 6 Washington,
That's the reason why we're here.
6 Washington Road.
I only drive by that every Sunday on my way to Huffman's. I don't know how I missed that.
2 of them right next to each other.
So anyway, that's why we thought there might be a race to the courthouse, because if anybody gets it, okay, so that's out. But you sit here today with the power to legislative power, and the question is, how will you exercise it? And I would argue to you that exercising it as part of a punishment process because somebody didn't listen is not the way to go. Now, if you in fact, however, think this business at this location is bad, and here's a guy with 26 years of running a clean pizza business and a clean operation. As he says, he's never been in here. I've asked him, never been to court, got police calls, got anything like that? No. 26 years. Manages the business himself, is on site, lived in Westminster, then and now lives in Owings Mills, Reisterstown. He's a good business owner. And if you however think that, I mean, I think the question is health, safety, welfare. If this is not a bad location, and I know no public opposition. We've got one opponent, Mr. Depot. No public opposition. And you know the neighborhood better than me, or at least as well as I do. And if you think that's not a big shop, then you can prevent it, and you can prevent it forever, quote unquote. It won't happen there. He'll close down. He won't pay taxes. His trader's license, he wasted the money on. His retail sales tax license, he wasted the money on. That's what we're talking about here today. We're not talking about, I don't think we're talking about punishing somebody. I think that's a zoning enforcement issue. So we ask you, please, to have mercy and exercise your legislative power in a way that works. This amendment does not open the doors for the rest of the world. Apparently there's 2 current site plans in process for vapes.
No, the other one is already.
Okay, so here's one. So it doesn't open the door for a bunch of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Pete, we've heard enough.
Well, this will come up when we discuss it later as a council in the session. So I'll call the public hearing closed at 7:52 p.m.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for everyone that took the time to be here to testify during the public hearing.
I thought I was gonna go to my 10th football game in the last 5 days.
Have a nice meeting. Okay. Let me find out where we're at here. Okay, now we're gonna go into minutes. We have 5 sets of meeting minutes to approve. We have meeting minutes for the mayor and common council meeting of December 9th, 2024. Mayor and common council work session meeting of December 16th, 2024. Special mayor and common council meeting on December 23rd, 2024. The special mayor and common council meeting on January 6th, 2025. And I don't know why I have this in here twice, but it's the same meeting. So we have 2 sets of meetings.
We have a council meeting in that.
I did not write closed meeting. Thank you. Okay, so that is our 5 sets of meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes as submitted?
Motion to approve.
Ms. Gilbert with the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion related to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Councilman Pecoraro, are you an aye on that? Thank you, sir. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. We have 2 items on the consent calendar this evening. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent.
Thank you, Mr. Huff. Do I have a second?
Second.
The second from Ms. Gilbert. Any discussion related to the consent calendar? Hearing none. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the consent calendar is approved. We'll move on to reports. Reports from the mayor. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have just a quick story, report tonight. It's been pretty quiet over the holidays for the.
Yeah.
Mr.
Let's continue our meeting, please. Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
It's been pretty quiet over the holidays. I just want to say that I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season. We've had a little bit of snowfall maybe some more on the way, but we're certainly not getting rid of these bitterly cold temperatures anytime soon. So I just wanted to say thank you for the streets department for being out there, taking care of the streets and areas within the city during our recent snowfall, and for the police department for responding to weather-related issues. Just as a reminder, downtown is still open for business, even just after the holidays. I had a great dinner at Collision Course last Thursday night, followed by the Shaken and Stirred event at Covalent Spirits, hosted by the Historical Society of Carroll County. The topic was on the civil rights movement in Carroll County, and they hold these events quarterly at Covalent. The next event will be Thursday, April 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. And that is about untold stories of McDaniel College. And that wraps up my report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll move on to reports from standing committees. Mr. Dayhoff, Arts Council.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Economic and Community Development, Mr. Huff.
No report.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Pecoraro.
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Personnel Committee, Mr. Pecoraro.
Nothing for that either.
You guys are gonna make me have to break the thing. All right, so public safety, I do have a report on August 12th, on December 21st of 24, Sergeant Ecker located and stopped a vehicle on Route 140 at Malcolm Drive subsequent to a theft complaint at Boscov's. Sergeant Ecker and other Westminster Police Department officers located over $2,500 worth of stolen clothing in the vehicle. Additionally, they located and recovered 2 stolen handguns, one of which was secreted on one of the suspect's person. They charged 3 suspects with various felonies as a result of this incident. On December 7th, Sergeant Ecker, busy, and PFC Stifler responded to a suicidal person incident where this person was barricaded in a bedroom with a loaded shotgun. They were able to successfully de-escalate the situation and talk this person into putting the firearm down and agreed to go to hospital to get help. On November 23rd, PFC Ash and PFC Ray responded to a motor vehicle collision with injuries at Route 140 and WMC Drive. They located a vehicle on its side and it was engulfed in flames. The driver was trapped inside with 2 broken legs. PFC Ash and PFC Ray successfully extracted the driver from the burning vehicle and moved him to a safe location. He subsequently was stabilized by medics and transported to the Baltimore Shock Trauma Hospital. I have to say, Chief, it looks like you've got some great candidates for some awards during our annual awards ceremony. That's quite a bit of quality work right there. So please pass on our appreciation.
Well, thank you.
And I speak for all of us that we're very grateful for that. Okay, we'll move on to Public Works Committee. Ms. Gilbert.
Yes, I have a relatively short report. Everybody can still see the remains of the big snowstorm that we so far have received in 2025. Some of us up here are hoping for a little more snow, but last week the city did see its first snowstorm. 43 employees covered 2,480 linear miles to salt the roads and clear the snow. So that's all the public works. I can roll right into.
Yes, you may, please.
Westminster Family Fitness Center received 16 new spin bikes today. It's all over Facebook. If you do not know what a spin bike is, then I'd suggest that you grab a membership at our local gym and find out. To update the cycle studio. Come on, to update our studio. So I'm sure all of our cyclists and spin participants are excited for this. The flooring will also be is also an upcoming replacement project that will begin this week. The childcare, the bar studio, and the third floor vestibule and 2 landings will also receive new floorings. This project will start on January 15th, and with some luck and crossing of fingers, will be completed by January 22nd. The Recreation Department also is excited and proud to host the Adaptive Recreation Winter Ball this Saturday in the Fitness Center Gymnasium from 6 to 8. Participants will enjoy dancing, light refreshments, and special character appearances from the movie Frozen. That is all I have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gilbert. Frozen, I've got a granddaughter that will like that.
It is
Technology Committee,
It
Mr.
is
Dayhoff.
the Adaptive Recreation Winter Ball.
Sorry,
just
I missed
so you
that
know.
part. Mr. Dayhoff.
No report.
Technology, no report. Okay, we'll move on to council comments and discussion. Mr. Pecoraro, do you have anything?
I do not. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Dayhoff.
No report this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Gilbert?
I just want to remind folks who might be listening that the State of the County will be held tomorrow at 8 a.m. at the Art Center. If anybody is interested.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huff.
I will mention that on January 8th, I attended the Maryland Municipal League's opening day reception down in Annapolis. And I am also serving on the legislative committee for the Maryland Municipal League, as well as the Maryland Realtors in my professional world. And what that means is it's the fun time of year where we find out about certain of our budget requests, but also you get to see a lot of bills, some of which are not very good. So sitting in those committee meetings, I was in one today. It was 2 hours long, going over about 30 some bills. So it just is an interesting time, and I'll keep you guys posted as things come along. I also, along with the mayor, attended the Shaken and Stirred event on January 9th. And I believe Councilman Dayhoff was there as well. That's just I think it's so cool that the historical societies doing these kind of events. It's just so much fun. And I think a real way for the historical society to kind of, for lack of a better way of saying, get a little bit more hip and trendy, because I could even imagine taking one of my kids to such an event and they would enjoy it and actually learn a little bit of history. So just a really awesome event. And I think that kind of speaks to some of the cool things that are happening in our downtown and at some of our businesses and some of the events that we have, whether that's a historical society or a Covalent or whatever other business. There's some really neat things that are happening in downtown. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huff. I have no comments. So we'll move on to bids. We have one bid this evening, the award of bid to Total Contracting Incorporated for the Westminster Pool Locker Room renovations at the Westminster Municipal Pool in the amount of $152,642. We'll go to Director of Recreation and Parks Gruber. That would be you tonight. Hi, Ms. Gruber.
Thank you very much. The fiscal year 25 capital projects budget funds locker room renovations at the Westminster Pool. The original infrastructure, while functioning currently, is outdated and inefficient. Built in 1984, upgrading the pool locker rooms is necessary for several reasons. It will address the facility's aging infrastructure by replacing deteriorated plumbing lines, sinks, toilets, floors, exhaust fans, fixtures, and faucets. These improvements will also address the building codes and safety standards that have evolved significantly since 1984, such as the Americans with Disabilities Act, the International Plumbing Code, and current electrical code requirements. These renovations will also provide greater water efficiency and energy saving features that will reduce operational costs. Lastly, these upgrades will decrease ongoing maintenance costs, increase sustainability, enhance safety, and improve the user experience with a renovated facility that is better equipped to handle current and future needs. The request for bids was posted on Maryland Marketplace on October 18, 2024. 3 contractors responded with bids ranging from $152,642 to $380,000. After reviewing submissions, staff determined that the lowest bid submitted by Total Contracting, Inc. from Lanham, Maryland would meet the city's needs. Total Contracting, Inc. submitted a thorough proposal. References were checked, staff received a favorable response regarding the company's timeliness, quality, and work integrity. Therefore, staff recommends that the city award the bid to Total Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $152,642 for locker room renovations at the Westminster Municipal Pool. That concludes the staff report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Imholz. Let's go ahead and get the question on the floor. Do I have a motion to approve the bid?
Motion to approve the bid.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. We have a motion and a second. I'll open it up to any discussion. Anyone like to discuss the bid?
Mr. President.
Voting? Yes, sir, Mr. Dayhoff.
Can it be completed by the time we open the pool at the end of May?
It's a question for, I guess, Ms. Imholz.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I could find out for you.
Will that affect your vote one way or the other?
No, sir.
Okay, well then let's go ahead and move on. Any other questions?
No, I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that, there was a little bit of background, and I don't know, maybe I did catch Miss Im also mentioning it. But, in general, our budget, we had some of that money budgeted already. And in light of the fact that there was some savings that we came across in another project which had to involve our, HVAC unit, at 45, and those savings, we really aren't spending an additional amount of money, so we're not really needing to budget any more money in using those savings from that project. So I just want to kind of throw that out there for anybody up here, just to, in case you needed to sway your vote any.
Mr.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mr. Huff.
This is yet another reason why I really appreciate the memos that we get from Mrs. Rogers as Director of Finance, because she outlines all that stuff beautifully. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And it certainly makes me feel more comfortable moving forward with this. So
Thank you, Mr. Huff. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any other comments or discussion before we call the vote? Okay, let's go ahead and call the vote. All those in favor of awarding the contract and total contracting for a total of $152,624, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. Imholz, the contract is awarded.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead and build the bathrooms. We have, as a note, there is a change to the ordinance resolution section of the agenda. Items B and C, resolution 2407 and 2406 are removed from the agenda because the petition for annexation was withdrawn by the petitioner. So we will not be hearing or discussing those two items this evening, which leaves us with one item. And that is the adoption of ordinance number 2024-09, tobacconist and vape shop text amendment, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of Westminster amending chapter 164 zoning and subdivision of land of the city code to amend Article 1 general provisions to add definitions of specialty shop, tobacconist and vape shops, to amend Article 7A mixed use infill zone, Article 8B business zone, Article 8B D-B downtown business zone, Article 9 CB central business zone, and Article 12 P1 planned industrial zone to add tobacconists and vape shops as permitted uses, to amended Article 11A N-C neighborhood commercial zone to add vape shops as permitted use, to amend Article 20 special provisions to impose certain restrictions on the location of this vape shops, and to renumber without substantive change the list of permitted uses in certain of these zones. Director of Planning and Community Development, Depot. Anything more?
I have nothing else to add, but I'm sorry.
Sorry. Hold on 1 second. Let me find out what Mr. Huff needs.
Mr. President, is it possible if, I would like to potentially I would like to make a motion that we defer action on this item to our January 27th meeting, just to give us all time individually to kind of digest the testimony that we heard tonight and the implications thereof.
Okay. Do we want to do that after we hear what Mr. Depot has to say, or before?
I'm fine with after. We want to hear what Mr. Depot has to
I'd like
say.
to hear what he has to say, if that's okay with you, and then we can discuss that. Mr. Depot.
Is that date January 27th? Sorry, Mark.
That would be our next council meeting, correct?
Yes.
Correct, that's what your suggestion is?
That's my suggestion.
I had nothing more to add other than just for clarification. Staff has not fined the property owner the $400. It was an initial notice of violation. The goal is to work with people to come to compliance. I met with the property owner months before the notice of violation to stop the business until we went through the proper procedures for approvals. It wasn't until that didn't occur that the notice of violation was provided. Again, there's no fine. We try to work with businesses and try to come into compliance. I just wanted to clarify that because it was mentioned.
Mr. Depot, your position though is there's two versions of this ordinance in our packet.
Yes,
The one that was originally introduced, and then the one is modified for the recommendation of Planning and Zoning Commission. Your position is that we enact the one as originally introduced.
as
correct?
introduced the mayor and common council,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so Mr. Huff has suggested that we defer this vote for one more council meeting to have some time to contemplate the issue, potentially do some research, have some discussions with whomever we might want to discuss with, and then come back and vote on this at our next council meeting. Does that summarize what you're suggesting?
Well, really, I just want to have some time to process what we heard tonight and think it through, because I do think, when we make our decision, it does have obviously ramifications upon certain people that are in this audience. And I just want to carefully consider all those things before we make a vote tonight. So that was my position, hence making that motion.
Mr.
Go ahead, Ms. Gilbert.
I tend to agree as much, I sat here and listened to everybody's testimony and it's a little bit over my head. Just saying, I'd kind of like to get some education and just to make sure that what I'm deciding is the appropriate decision, and to figure out the differences between what was the original plan that was submitted and then the modified version, and how that is going to affect the people in this audience and going in the future. So I would not
Appreciate
mind waiting that 2 weeks if we could do that.
Great. Anyone else? Ms. Simmons?
We'll need a motion, I think.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, great.
We will, and yeah, we'll get to that. But thank you. So I tend to agree. I'd like a little more time, just for you guys, so you're clear on what's gonna happen here. We cannot have a meeting of any more than two of us and discuss this. That would be illegal. We have to do this in an open forum in front of all of you. So what we're looking at doing is taking time individually to better understand what we're looking at here, what the impact may or may not be. We can talk to each other, but we can't talk to three people because that would be a quorum and that's illegal. So we can have individual communication with each other in terms of trying to understand maybe where our headspace is. We can talk to staff to kind of get more information from them. We could potentially talk to you guys or whomever else we want to, so that we can come to the best decision. Because clearly there, as Councilman House says, look, there's some ramifications here. We're trying to do the right thing for the community in terms of why we have gotten as far as we have relative to the fact that there's been a clear outcry to us that people don't want a bunch of vape shops downtown. And there's other businesses they don't want downtown as well. And we try to have our ordinances, try to control that as best as possible. But we also understand there's a little bit more at stake here, especially with this young man. I think we all want to think about it a little bit and come back and make a good decision in 2 weeks. So we'll beg your, forgiveness for not making a decision this evening. I know you came here hoping that you'd walk out, at least knowing what you're going to do. But I think this is better for you too, that we take our time and really think this through and come back and make a decision in 2 weeks. So with that being said, let's get a motion and a second to defer this decision until our next council meeting. And I'm going to take your.
So, Mr. President, I will make the motion that we postpone action on the adoption of ordinance number 2409 until our next council meeting, which is January 27th.
Thank you, Mr. Huff.
I'll second that.
Ms. Gilbert, you're the second. Anyone have any discussion related to postponement? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of postponing until the next council meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and we will bring this back before us at our next council meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and give you guys, if you want to roll out, you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
I mean, you're welcome to.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Thanks again. Thanks.
We'll move on to unfinished business. I have no unfinished business that I'm aware of. Is anyone aware of any unfinished business? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. I believe we have one item of new business this evening. Councilman Huff.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that the Common Council adjourn into a closed meeting on Monday, January 13th, 2025, at the conclusion of the regular meeting in accordance with the general provision article of the annotated code of Maryland, section 3305B4, to consider a matter that concerns the proposal for a business or industrial organization to locate, expand, or remain in the state, and B5, to consider the investment of public funds.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of going into closed session at the conclusion of this meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes, any opposed? The ayes have it, and we will go into a closed meeting at the conclusion of this meeting.
Mr.
Okay.
President, will you come back to this meeting or will you adjourn from this meeting from that closed session?
We will adjourn from this meeting and then go into that closed session. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to departmental reports. Ms. Imholz, your show.
Yay, thank you, sir. I want to start off by thanking all of the staff who participated in removal of the snow and addressing the snowstorm, which includes many, many departments, IT, the police department, and of course, the public works department. I think it was a successful event from the operations perspective, and I'm really appreciative of all their efforts. The public works department in particular worked many, many, many hours. Okay, so I would like to start with the recreation department, if that's okay. I've got some statistics about our new ice rink that we had in the month of December. The ice rink, which is of course a synthetic ice rink, was open to the public for 16 hours on Saturdays from November 30th through December 21st and served 444 participants, which I think is a pretty great success. They had a little over 100 people most weekends. Again, this is not a real ice skating rink, so we probably can bring that back for one of the July, recreation month, Christmas in July, or maybe some other events as well. It certainly drew in a crowd, and I think it was I consider that to be successful. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I'm also really excited about the Adaptive Recreation Winter Ball that Councilmember Gilbert mentioned. This is one of my favorite events. If you haven't made it to this particular event to see the Adaptive Recreation and Winter Ball, these folks are very excited to be there. There's some excellent dancing and it will just lift your heart. So it's from 6 to 8 this Saturday, and I encourage you to come if you have a chance to. All right, are there any questions for the Recreation Department, which is me right now? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to the Housing Department. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Ms. I just wanted to bring up one thing, and during the month of January, HUD usually asks certain organizations that sort of look out for and service homeless individuals. So this year, and usually Carroll County's office, the Circle of Caring and Homeless Board is usually spearheads this. And this year, the event will take place, and the idea is to pick one day in the year where you try to count the homeless population. This year, the event will occur on January the 25th with a snow date of January 29th. And the idea is to try to take a point in time and count the homeless population. There are volunteers that are needed, and for anybody in this room or anybody that may be listening in, you can contact Carly Long at CHLong@CarrollCountyMD.gov or call 410-386-3623. Members of our staff, that's the city staff, will be participating in this event. And if there's others that want to volunteer, you can use it. I have a flyer here for anybody that wants that. That's all I have, Ms. Hall.
Mr. Brown, can I, I'm sorry, Mr. President, may I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Can I just make sure I heard you correctly? You said January 25th on a Saturday?
That's what January 24th,
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like,
2025.
okay, thank you.
If I said 25, I misspoke.
That's okay, thank you. It could have
Anybody
been
else
my
have any
ears.
questions for Mr. Brown? Because I do, but I want to give anybody else an opportunity. So, Mr. Brown, in your report, you listed seven, I think it was 67% of the total violations were rental violations for the month of November. Was that people not renewing their licenses, or were they violations of something within the code?
There were people not renewing their rental housing license.
So that's what I thought. Okay, that makes sense then. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ms. Imhoff.
Hearing no other questions, we will move on to the IT department. Mr. Moore.
Thank you. I have no report tonight. I vote for questions.
Any questions for, okay. I have a quick report for the Public Works Department. As you know, BG&E will start to do some gas line replacement on Main Street. I don't exactly know when that work is gonna begin. It's slated to begin sometime this week. Mr. Debo, you don't have any updated information as to that yet?
I do not.
It's slated to begin sometime this week. I don't think it actually will, but that will be coming soon. We'll be notifying, as soon as we have that information together, we'll be notifying the public about the sequencing of that event.
And just, I'd like to make a quick comment on that.
Yeah.
We have zero control over that. We just opened the street up to do water, and now BG is gonna come back in and do this, and that is, sure, a lot of people are gonna be very upset and ask us why in the world we didn't do both. We have zero control over when BGE does what they do, and they have the right to go in and do it anytime they want. We can't say a darn thing about it, so back to you.
Ms. Imhoff, do you really think that they will dig next week with the cold temperatures that are being predicted?
I do not.
Okay.
They're slated to begin the work this week. It is dependent on weather. So we're not totally sure when they will start. Whenever it does start, we'll be notifying the public. The work will be completed between Monday, so we're told, between Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. BG&E has sent a letter to all impacted property owners so that they're aware of it. All gas customers will be notified by BG&E separately and in advance of any service interruptions, if there are any.
Are they gonna patch the road back up when they're done for the weekend?
Yes.
Good.
And then once they finish, then the city will come in and do its planned paving on Main Street.
Thank God they didn't do it after.
Yeah. Any other questions for the Public Works Department? Hearing none, who else are we missing today? We'll move on to the Planning Department. Mr. Depot.
Good evening. The Historic District Commission canceled its January meeting. On January 7th, the Board of Zoning Appeals heard case 2405, an appeal of the zoning administrator's June 11th, 2024 determination regarding signage at 301 East Main Street. The board upheld and wholly affirmed the June 11th, 2024 zoning determination and denied the appeal application. The board also continued case 2405. This is an appeal of the zoning administrator's to September 27th, 2024 initial notice of violation for 279 East Main Street for the unapproved operation of a retail sales establishment at the property, the installation of unapproved signage on this property, and illegal use of city sidewalk. On January 16th, the Planning and Zoning Commission is scheduled to hold a public hearing on Annexation 83, Resolution 2411, the Optimum Properties LLC property containing approximately 3.572 acres. Hold a public hearing on Annexation 85, Resolution 2413, the Ellen Potapan property containing approximately 5.74 acres. Both these annexations, the properties border Stonegate and are located between the Stonegate and Walnut Ridge residential developments. On October 28th, 2024, both annexations and resolutions, including the annexation plan for each, were introduced to the Mayor and Common Council. The Planning Commission is also reviewing Site Development Plan S2336 for Shepherd staff to construct a 5,786 square foot two-story community center meeting hall building on .28 acres at 30 Carroll Street. And I just wanted to thank staff. We received a $150,000 grant for facade improvements. We typically have 50,000. So this is triple our typical amount. We have several people lined up, and I just want to thank staff for all their hard work. I'm available for any questions.
Great job.
Hearing none, we will move on to the finance department. Ms. Rogers?
Thank you, Ms. Imhoff. I just wanted to report that Finance Department is working on preparing for the FY26 budget. And I'm gonna kick that off tomorrow. The directors have received notice of that, so we'll be starting that soon. And that's my report for the night. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Hearing none, we'll move on to the police department. Chief Ledwell?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just one thing to add on to some of the stuff that Councilman Kavachi already talked about. We do a quarterly designation for one sworn employee and one civilian employee, and tomorrow morning, the sworn employee will be Officer Barbara Bogan. She's a newer officer, graduated from the police academy in August, and has really excelled since being out on the street. So she'll be recognized tomorrow. And typically, they're nominated by either a peer on their squad or a supervisor. So just wanted to bring that up. That's my report, unless you have any questions.
Mr. President, that concludes departmental reports.
Thank you, Ms. Imhoff. Also, please pass on to whoever was responsible for making us looking at the purple lights back there on City Hall.
I'm wearing my purple shirt today.
Make sure to tell them we said thank you. That's all. I love walked in here. I love it. Okay, the final item on our agenda is citizen comments. When we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues that pertain to tonight's agenda or any other city issues. For citizens not attending the meeting, we invite you to send your comments or concerns via email to comments@westminstermd.gov. All comments received by email will be shared with the mayor and council. Commenters should include their address and phone number with their comments. We will now invite comments from anyone who is present this evening. This is an opportunity for the public to share their thoughts and concerns with the mayor and council. Our role at this point is to listen to your comments and respond as appropriate after consultation with staff and each other. So, is there anyone here this evening that would like to be heard? I sat all the way through this meeting.
We're looking at you guys.
We had so much fun last.
Okay, hearing no comments, all right, Mr. Pecoraro, tell me how this goes for the adjournment. You got a great way of saying it.
You say without objection, we are adjourned.
That's it. Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.